This is going to sound like a crappy subject, but it's time to talk about composting toilets. Composting toilets. I think it's fair to say that we've done enough craps in this toilet to understand everything about him. It's been 2 years we've been using him for now. What do you think?
So we've cleaned it out enough to know how to set it up properly, but yes, what he said.
Not we, moi. I've been cleaning it out. This is my job. As you know, when you caravan, A has a job and B has a job, and that's just the way it works.
I have done it a few times, but I do prefer to leave it up to him. Not that it's a terrible chore to do. It's nowhere near as bad, I don't believe, as tipping the old cassette toilet out in the
gross.
dumpling.
Yes.
So we have been using a composting toilet, the Nature's Head, for nearly 2 years now, and we did not want to do a video until we had enough experience to be able to share with you how to avoid the negative side to compost toilets, which there definitely is if you don't know
100%.
what you're doing. So we're going to tick off a few of those boxes in this video. We are also going to answer the questions, or some of the questions, because there were hundreds, that you have been asking about the composting toilets, because it's probably one of the most asked questions, isn't it? Is how do you find the compost toilet? Because we find that there are a lot of people out there who say that they're terrible, that haven't actually learned how to use them properly.
I think a lot of people are scared of them too.
Yeah, and if you don't use them right, they're disgusting. I will tell you that straight off the bat. If you haven't got it, if you haven't got the know-how, they're not what you want to have. So figure it out first, and that's what we're going to help you do. Figure it out.
We're going to share our experience to hopefully guide you guys in the right direction. What do you reckon?
Yeah,
we're going
absolutely.
To do it?
Yeah.
We'll probably jump inside now, so we can show you what the toilet is about and how simple it actually is. So
it doesn't usually live in the middle of a dry riverbed.
Get inside. Get inside.
So here we are in the bathroom. I'm sitting on the Nature's Head composting toilet. You can see the physical size of this toilet. It's pretty much the same as a toilet at home. There are bigger ones, there are smaller ones. This is ours. Now these are actually really simple to use once you figure them out. There's a pee bucket at the front here, which you unscrew this, it just lifts out very, very simply. And then at the back, there's a component for your number twos that has a handle to churn after you've done your business. You put peat coir in there. Chris is going to show you that outside when he goes through that whole process. So this has been in here for about 3 weeks, which brings me to one of the most amazing things about the composting toilet, and that is you don't have to dump them anywhere near as often as a chemical toilet. So this one has been, as I said, for 3 weeks, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, depending on the usage, how wet it is, how much you use it, etc. So you sit on, I'm not going to open the lid, but you do. You open the lid, you sit down. For number 2s, there's a little handle on the side. You just open it up, do your business, close it. If you need to spray, spray, and then dispose of your paper. Very, very easy. For number 2s, number 1, sorry, there are 2 little holes in the front. You just kind of guide your pee down those holes, which is much easier for a male to do than a female. But yeah, you guide your pee down those holes and just give it a quick wipe when you're finished. Number 2's, the toilet paper goes into, I put mine into a little doggy poo bag and put that in the bin as well. Chris sometimes puts his in the toilet. It's personal preference as to how you use that. Now we do get asked a lot if these toilets smell, and if you have them set up properly, no they don't. There is a 12-volt fan connected by a hose, sucks all the smells outside, and even the smell outside isn't that bad again if you've got it set up correctly inside. So no, there's no need to vent them through the roof, as a lot of people have asked. The other good thing about these, they don't need any water, so no flushing, and they use no chemicals at all. So we found when we had the chemical toilet, we had one for a long time, that even if you left the hatch open just a little bit, the smell would permeate the van. You don't get that at all with these. They're really, really simple to use. They're actually really simple to remove as well. And I guess that's probably the one downside, if you could call it a downside, to the Nature's Head composting toilet, and that is you have to remove the whole toilet to take it outside to clean it. But it's actually a really simple process. There are just 2 screws you undo by hand, you unattach or detach the hose, turn off the 12-volt, lift it up and take it outside. It's not that heavy, it's not that cumbersome. I've done it plenty of times, and Chris is going to show you how that's done soon.
Okay, so here comes my job. Now the fun part of taking it over there, emptying it out and reloading it. Here she is, it's that simple. All right, let's go over here and give it a clean out, hey? All right, now that we have the throne outside, it's ready to clean. What I want to do is I want to run you through a few of the tools and things that I use to clean it out. Number 1, you're going to need a hose to give it a wash out. I'm lucky, I've got a huge tank in the truck and a hose fitting on here, so it's simple as just going like that. You want a bath, honey?
No!
No, she doesn't want a bath. Okay, Number 2, you're going to need a brush.
Have a look at that brush.
Now, does anyone tell me what this is?
Okay,
this is a little bit of an awkward thing because this was Miriam's Thermomix brush.
The only one I had. Anyway, now I've got 2 spares.
See, in a Caravan, each item has to have 2 purposes. There's one for cleaning the toilet and one for cleaning the Thermomix.
That's definitely not a multi-purpose brush.
You're also going to need a pair of gloves. That's simple. All right, talk about where we're going to dump this thing.
You also need some bags.
Yep, need some bags.
2 bags.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this. So there's a few ways that we can empty this. So number 1 is you throw it in a bag, dump it all in a bag, tie it all up, throw it in a rubbish bin. Simple process. Number 2, you can go and bury it if you like. If you're really remote, I don't even think there is a need to bury it. I just think dump it in the bush somewhere. It's a compost.
Check the laws in your local area too.
100%.
They vary.
And there's one more tool that I have too, is I have another set of gloves for you, mate. There you go. Because guess what, honey?
No.
This is going to be your first lesson on how to clean the compost toilet.
Mate, I have done this before when you've not been around, and it wasn't attached to a truck, so I had to do it with a hose and gloves and bags. I've done it like 4 times.
Oh, have you now?
Yes, I have. By myself. Thank you very much.
This is it. As my lovely assistant showed you guys before, we have 2 separate compartments. Number 1 is for your pee, and number 2 is for your poo. Did you hear that? I'm a poet and I don't even know it, mate. I can rhyme anytime. Then we have the top part, which is the part that we actually sit on that has the fan and everything into there. So we need to remove this from this here. So we have 2 clips either side. One like that, one on that side. Then we lift those up like that to remove them so they don't get hooked back on the catch. Then on the back, we have the slide hinge, which you'll just pull it sideways and then the lid removes like that. Nice and simple, place it up out the way. That will be a part that we'll clean, but we won't do that right now. To empty the pee, this is how you do it. You lift the lid up, pull your little pee bucket out, and then go empty it, do whatever you need to do with it. These are cool. You can empty these pretty much anywhere as long as you have some common sense. Go dump it in the bush or something or on a tree. I'm sure there's plenty of men that have probably peed on that tree before anyway. So, all right, we'll just move that out the way for now. So here we go. Are you ready? If you're squirmy, look at this. This is 3 weeks of number 2s. You don't have to look at it so closely if you want to, like a compost. And if we're going to talk about consistency, if the consistency is right, you're not going to have poo everywhere. It's not going to be... I've just seen some pretty gross videos out there of people probably not using it correctly. It'll just get too wet, it'll be sloppy, it'll be disgusting, it'll stink, and it'll attract a lot of mold, and mold probably isn't a good thing. Very minimal mold, yes, but when you start getting a lot of mold, yeah, you're probably not doing the right thing. It's just too wet. You know, mold is attracted by moisture, so...
Okay, all right. That, tip it out and start again.
Yep, so all right, I'm going to grab some bags now, place it on the ground, and then we'll show you guys how we do it. Or I use 2 bags. You can use one if you want, but you're taking a big risk in life.
You've used one before.
I am a bit of a risk taker though, honey.
Oh,
but no, I use two bags. 2 large garbage bags. Just give it a bit of, whoa, really lost her in the wind, hey? Open the bag up nicely, and what I do then is I slip the bag over the toilet. Just make sure you don't go stretching it too much so it splits the bag. All right, so I've got it nice and firm over the top of it. Then I'll hold the corners, and all I'll do is tip it up, put it on the ground, give it a little bit of a shake. That's it. That's simple. Then I'll just peel the bag back off. That's it. We have it all in here. What I do is I tighten it all up nice and tight. Let as much of the air out as I can. Then I'll just tie it up. Righto, second bag comes into play. So all I do now with the second bag, mate, is just place that bag into this bag so it's got a double layer.
In case the first
bag breaks. So there's no chance or minimal chance of a blowout. You definitely don't want a blowout. Not that it's, again, not that it's that bad, but...
But it's not good either.
No. All right, there you go. There she is. There's our 3 weeks of number 2s. In a bag, ready to rock. We're leaving tomorrow. We're going to different spots, so there'll be thousands of bins out there that we can just place in. All I'll do now is I'll chuck it into my MSA bin bag. That's it, done and dusted. Now if you want to have a look in here, you can see how clean it is in here. So there's still a bit of coir peat left in the bottom. So what we'll do now is we'll get the hose out. The Thermomix brush, just give it a quick little clean. Important part you guys need to know, don't go using chemicals in here. Chemicals will affect the whole composting process for the next cycle that you're going to do. So it's simple as a bit of water. All right, simple little process. Just put a bit of water in there. What I do is I try filling it up so the blades are just about covered. Just get enough water in there so you can dump your brush into there. As you're wetting it too, it will start to obviously break down the leftover koi peat and stuff that's in there. So I'll give the blade a bit of a turn. Just wet it all. Okay, got enough water in there now. I'll grab my Thermomix brush. Oh, do you need it to bake inside?
I don't.
Okay, all right. So all I do is give it a bit of a rough brush to start with. All right, so then I'll give the blade a bit of a brush. So this is the first initial sort of brush to get a lot of the hard excess stuff off. That's it. All right, so we've got that part done. So then I'll get the hose out again, and you'll see here that it's already looking very clean, or a lot cleaner. Give the blade a bit of a hose as well. So we've got the excess all nice and hosed and fairly clean on the outside. Then what we're going to do is dump the water out of this one. Roughly clean, and again we'll do that process again. So I normally do it 2 or 3 times. Just get the hose in there again, so the water is a lot cleaner now. Just remind me to give it back, babe, so you can cook some lunch as well, hey?
Ew.
Not really needed, but for the sake of a couple of 30 seconds.
We all know how much Chris likes cleaning stuff.
That's it. She's done, ready to reload. So the next part we're going to do is just we're going to clean this part as well, the top part. Okay, so get the hose up into there. Just give it a bit of a hose inside all the parts. And you'll see here the water will start running out that little trap there, the little air vent. Again, guys, you know, if you have your consistency nice, this is not going to be dirty. It's going to be very, very clean and healthy inside. Healthy. Well, that's a word for it, isn't it?
It's a good word to
good
describe
bacteria
a
and
compost
nice and
toilet,
healthy.
yeah. And now it does get a bit stained, so explain that.
It does get a little stain, but every now and then, like I said, you can maybe use a more aggressive chemical to get a lot of the stains off. I try not to. I don't know if that's going to wreck the bacteria in it, so I just tend to stay away with it, but I think it wouldn't be a problem every now and then. Okay, so now that we clean the underneath, all I do is give that a little hose in here and just give this a quick little scrub as well. Not necessarily. If you've kept it pretty clean, like Miriam explained before, every time we pee, we just give it a little cleaner so it doesn't stain. So if you keep up to date with that, you've got barely any cleaning in here, so you can see it's clean. Nice and clean.
We do actually have a compost toilet cleaner that we can show you a bit later.
Yeah, we'll show you that afterwards actually. The couple of things that you're going to need when you decided to get a composting toilet. Righto, that's it. The process is done. This thing is clean. So what I'll generally do now is I'll just sit it somewhere to dry a little bit, air out, and get ready to reload it.
Yeah, we figured while it was airing out, it was a good time to show you what you need to have if you are going to use a composting toilet. The first thing is coir peat from Bunnings.
Do you know anything about it?
Well, I know that if you get a bad block of this, it gets really, really stringy, and then the toilet only lasts about 2 weeks because you can't churn it because it gets really stringy. Yep. So I know when it's a good batch because Chris is outside doing like, oh yes,
well, it's only been
really
once.
Good.
It's only been once that we've had a really bad batch, so it's yeah, it's just
we've had a
the
couple
luck
that
of the
have
draw.
been average, but one was really bad and it didn't last a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yep.
We just even like the first night we started using it, we couldn't churn it properly, and you could see all the strings in it.
It's a natural. It's a natural product. It's a
coconut.
Yeah, coconut husk, I think it is. So so they don't use normal tree bark. It's I don't know. You read it. Read it.
It says it is a renewable resource sourced from coconuts and not from the bark of a tree. It means that this is an environmentally sustainable material as the tree hasn't been harmed. So there you go.
Well,
and it also says, so we get these from Bunnings, you get them in the gardening section, and Bunnings grade theirs differently according to size. Yep. So it's blended to achieve the optimum mix for your plant's well-being.
There you go. So this...
Or your poo's well-being.
This is one block. This is the one block that we use. So I think, well, it says 15 litres, makes up to 15 litres. So I guess it's a 15 litre block, I guess.
So this is for like worm farms, gardening, all that sort of stuff. It's not just for composting toilets.
And they're cheap. I think they're about $4 or $5. So at any time, we've probably got 8 to 10 of them just sitting in the van. And nice and light. Simple, 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 simple. So this would probably, 10 of them would last us, oh man, do the math, a long time. So a lot of poos. Hey, what do you reckon?
It's a lot cheaper than the chemicals that you need to put in a chemical toilet.
100%. Here we go.
So this
Compost
is the only,
toilet cleaner and stimulant.
only chemical that we use. I don't even actually know what's in it because it doesn't say
Oh,
here.
it wouldn't be it, yeah.
I buy them in 1 litre refill bottles, and you can get it from it says info@enviropro.com.au.
Yep.
It smells really, really nice. So this helps to clean the toilet. Where does it say here? It cleans and lubricates the bowl, which is why ours isn't very stained. It controls odour because it smells so nice, and it stimulates the composting process.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend getting this, and don't do what we did when we first got our composting toilet and use a whole lot of it, because you will end up with a very, very, very wet mix. So I think Chris would agree that it took us about 3 or 4 months to figure out the correct consistency.
Yeah, and then I thought I had it right, and then it went pear-shaped again. So like I said, you know, we've been using it for 2 years, so we understand it very well now, and we have it absolutely nailed every single time, so we know exactly what's going on with it.
So can you explain how much peat coir, or coir peat, sorry, you put in, and how much water?
Well, I just said that before, didn't you listen, mate?
No, I wasn't listening, sorry.
1 whole block. This is
but
a
how much water?
15 litre block. I'll explain it afterwards. I'll show you afterwards. When we do the reloading, I'll show you the whole process of that.
There you go.
Okay, and there's one more product that we use. What is this?
So this, when I said that there's one downside to a compost toilet, which is removing it, there is another downside if you don't know exactly what you're doing, which we didn't for a long time, until we actually had a chat with the guy that makes these toilets and sells them. We said, look, we've got a problem with, there were like gnats, little flies in the compost.
But that was twice it happened, I think.
It actually happened three times, and then Chris was, we didn't know what to do. We had a chat with him, and he said, it's really simple. Grab yourself a pyrethrum-based insect spray, and if you notice 1 or 2 flies, a couple of sprays in, and give it a churn around. Since we have been using this every now and again,
no issues at all.
We've not had a single problem with any insects at all in the toilet. And I think Chris gives it a few sprays initially when you first do it, don't you?
Yeah, as soon as I reload it, I give it a couple of sprays in there so it's in there. And then every, I don't know, I'll probably do it once every 2 or 3 days. Just give it
every now
a quick
and
little
again.
spray. That'll last you for friggin' ever.
It lasts ages. And I also squirt down the pipe. So we don't know how they got in, but we're assuming it was through the pipe. So we've actually put mesh and stocking over the external pipe. I give this a spray down the pipe as well. And there is actually a fitting you can get to attach to it that the guy from Nature's Head was telling us about, that you can stick on the external
100%, which is just like a filter anyway, a
external
coil sort of thing for it.
Yeah, to stop them from getting in, because they are tiny, tiny, tiny little things, and they can get through. So that's what that is. So those are the 3 things you need.
So our trial and error, we're explaining our trial and error to you guys, so you guys don't make the mistakes that we have, and you get all the right things and the right information to make it happy, because it needs to be enjoyable. We need to be sitting there and be enjoying a poo,
I think something also that I wanted to point out was, people say, how long does it last? So for us, it lasts 3 to 4 weeks, but when we were speaking to the guys from there, it actually holds, I think, 72 number 2s.
Well, it depends how big they are.
So that's where I'm clarifying. So how long is it going to last? How many times a day do you poo? Do you have super runny poos? Are you constipated? All those sorts of things are going to impact how long the toilet lasts for you. So it's different for everyone.
Yeah, judge it yourself. The consistency, I think for me, judging it is very simple. As we churn it, if it's starting to get really hard and tight, then that's a sign that it's probably just about ready to start. To reload it.
And someone had a bit of an incident with the water. It didn't bode too well with my belly, and I had a bit of an upset tummy for a little while.
So you had the trots.
Thanks, WA, for your beautiful water. So it only lasted about a week and a half, 2 weeks. And Chris actually, with that one, put some extra coir peat stuff in there, and that continued it.
Well, after a week or so, it was starting to get a little bit wet, so I just put a little bit more of that in there, and it broke it back down again, dried it out a little bit, and let it keep going for another week or so.
I know that is a common question, because we've had a few people ask, and it's usually the women that come up to me and go, I don't know if the compost toilet's going to work, because such and such hubby does runny poos all the time. So if you do
get off the beers and the chocolates, mate.
If you do
and too much coffee.
runny poos all the time, have a look at your lactose intolerance levels. Maybe it's something to do with that, but you can add an extra bit of coir peat to it if you need to.
Yep. All right. Well, let's open up one of these, and reload it all.
Okay.
Just remove it from the plastic. This could be difficult, trying to crack the plastic, eh? Here we go, we got it. This can be a little bit messy. Just be aware of that. There may be a little bit, messy as in a little bit of dust, but that's pretty much it.
Don't breathe it in.
Well, they say don't breathe it in.
It says wash your hands afterwards and don't breathe in the dust.
Okay, all right. So you can see the physical size of the block here. So the easiest way to do it is you just break it off into sections. So there's a nice section there. So all I do is just break it up with my hands. and drop it into there. Just little bit by little bit. See that? You can see inside there. See what it is? It's just like a... it's pretty simple to process, isn't it?
Right. Stringy bits
you can see it just breaking apart. Oh no, this is actually really good. If it's stringy, it's really difficult to break.
So you can see a few of
the... yeah, this stuff is pretty good. Very simple to break apart. Look at that, it just sort of crumbles in your hands. I try to get rid of all, bigger pieces. Just try to really massage it and break it up really fine. I find if you leave a lot of pieces in there, when you put the water in there, you can still have some dry spots, and it takes a lot longer for that to break down and to go really fine. So there you go, we're getting through it now. Look at this. Rightio, so now that we got the coir peat all broken up, nice and fine inside the bowl here, we'll add the water. So what I just use is your standard old measuring bowl. Best consistency that I find with a 15 litre block is 2.5 litres. So I've got 1500 ml here, so we'll just pour it in. This is the way I do it. Pour it all in, and then start giving a bit of a mix up. So if you can look in here, so you'll start seeing it all mixing and getting a little bit moist. Look at that. So what I try to do as well is I leave the blade straight up like that, just get in there with my hands and just give it a good mix around, grab all the dry stuff that's sitting in the bottom, and just, keep churning it over the top of each other. There you go. So now I'll grab another 1 litre of water, pour that in, and we're just about good to go. So the top part can go back on now. So all you do is, if you look over here at the hinge, you can see you've got the opening, so you just slide it on like that, and then just drop it down. Come down, you've got your little latch here, put them in there, lock them on, other side, lock him on, and we're good to go. So how about you give me that camera,
Okay.
and you do the pee part.
The pee bucket. Alright, so there are some tips and tricks that we have learned from various people over the past couple of years, the best way to deal with a pee bucket. And something that I actually found out from Donna Hollier from Campedia is that if you add some vinegar and some detergent, make sure it's a natural detergent, because this is where you can pour anywhere, that it takes away the smell. Because I'm not going to lie, it can be quite potent when it gets full of pee. So...
That's because you're not hydrated, honey.
Probably. I never drink as much as I should. So vinegar, all I do, I actually don't know how much she puts in, but I put in about that much. So it's not much at all. And then use a natural detergent, like I said. So this is septic safe and all that sort of stuff. And I just give it a real good squeeze. And then give it a bit of a swish around. I might add that when you do dump it, it is good to fill it with water, give it a bit of a swish around a couple of times and tip it out. And every now and again when we're driving, Chris likes to fill it up and put, what do you put, bleach in it?
Yeah, every now and then to give it a super good clean up, but that's rare.
That's rare. That's like every few months. So we fill it to full, and when we're sloshing around for a few hours on a drive, it gives it a real good clean. Then we dump that down, not out in nature because it's got bleach in it, obviously, but that does help to alleviate. So you can see it's got some staining in there, but like I said, this is 2 years old. So that's all I do, and then it slots back in under there and goes back inside. There is a lid that comes with it. Do not lose the lid, because that stops splashages onto your feet when you're walking it to wherever you're going to dump it.
And it enables you to give it a good shake when you got some water.
It does, actually, yeah. And something else that Donna was telling me that she does, I don't do it very often, but sometimes when you're in a place that you can't just dump it out and about and you want to take it somewhere and you don't want everyone to see that you're carrying a bucket of pee around, because you can see straight through it, she's got a little bag and she puts the pee bucket.
She's got her
little shopping bag, and she walks along with it. It just fits right in there and you can't see. So there you go. So that's the pee bucket. Super simple. We dump this every... You know what, that depends on how often you pee. If it's just me, it probably would last a week because I don't drink enough water. If Chris assists and goes in there, we dump it every couple of days. Right, to put the pee bucket in, you just unclip the top, lift it up just a little, slide it in there, bring it down, and then reclip. It's really, really simple. Usually this is bolted down to the ground, so it's not as awkward as I just made it look.
You're a natural at it.
Oh yeah, I know, I do it all the time. So, and then all you need to do is reverse what we just did. So carry it, put it inside, put it down, then you need to screw those little screws in, attach the hose, and plug the 12-volt back in, and you're ready to go for another 2 to 4 weeks, depending on how much you poop.
So there you have it. Composting toilet. Nice and simple, eh? What do you reckon?
All done. So I told you at the beginning we're going to answer some of the questions that you have asked us, and we're going to do that now. Just quickly, because I know this video has gone on for quite a while. So question number 1 I think is really important. We probably should have touched on that at the very beginning. And that question is, who supplied and paid for the toilet? I'd be keen to know that part prior to the review, if that's at all possible.
Oh,
and that's fair enough.
Yep.
This is not a biased review, and no, we have not partnered with Nature's Head. We have nothing to do with them other than the fact we've been using the toilet for the past 2 years.
Well, in fact, our next Caravan, we're going to change to a different one and test that one out as well. We're going to go with the Ogo. So there's several composting toilets on the market. So whatever suits you. I think different styles. Yeah.
We're going to try the Ogo. It's got a smaller footprint. We like that. It's got an automatic churn. We like that as well. It's got a larger pea bucket, but a smaller, just slight differences.
It's got a light on the pea bucket. So, yeah, slight differences, but essentially the same thing. So, no, we're not sponsored by Nature's Head. So,
very good question, number 1.
Yes.
Number 2, do you really need to empty the wee catcher daily? We have heard it's not that big, and for a family of 4, you have to empty it more regularly. Well, yes, of course, with a family of 4, you have to empty it more regularly than with 2, unless you pee outside. So, we did touch on that in the video. This holds 8.3 litres, so depends on how long it takes you.
If you don't pee much.
If you don't drink much.
If you do pee a lot, then you'll be emptying a lot. So
absolutely. 3, how much maintenance is involved? We just showed you that. It's every few weeks, and that is it.
Every 2 to 4 weeks to reload it. There's no maintenance involved in the toilet itself, so no.
Yep. Where do you empty it? We did touch on that as well. So you can put it in the ground, bury it, or you can put it in a bag, put it in the rubbish bin. Does it have a smell? No, not if you do it correctly.
If you don't do it correctly, yes, it can have a horrendous smell. So we'll better touch on that.
Number 7, hey guys, what happens when you pee and poo at the same time? Now, I am going to answer this one because...
Oh, it's easy for me.
So guys have, a certain appendage that they can point down the hole and the pee goes down the hole. As women, we don't have that. And this is, men, don't listen if you don't want to listen. But women, when you do have to do a number 2, it can sometimes make the number 1s go a funny direction and all the rest of it. So what we tend to do is scoot forward to pee, scoot back to drop a number 2, close the flap again and pee again at the front, because if you do get a little bit of pee onto the poo flap, there's a funnel that puts it down into the pee bucket. So you do not want to get pee into the poo or poo into the pee, and it will take a little bit of getting used to, but once you are used to it, you're used to it and it's fine. Okay, you can unblock your ears now.
Good.
I hope that wasn't too much information, but you need to know these things. After having a compost toilet, would you have another one? Absolutely.
Oh, I will never, over my dead body, have a cassette toilet ever again in my Caravan. Even if I was a weekender, I think I would still have one.
My parents are weekenders and they have one and they love it.
There's no reason why you can't leave it in there. It's actually probably better. The longer it sits in there, the more the compost process,
it has
works.
the time to do what it needs to do. So yeah, definitely. Always,
100%,
always have another one. What size bags do you use to empty the solids? So
just large garbage bags. Maybe measure it. I don't know if it's large or extra large. Just measure. Yeah. Maybe jump online, have a look at the measurements, and then.
This guy says compostable bags. So you can get compostable bags. We don't bury ours in a bag. No. We put them in a rubbish bin.
Well, if I was going to bury it, I'll just dig it in a hole and put it in the hole. I wouldn't actually put it in a bag as well.
But if you were going to dig a hole and bury it in a bag, then you would need a compostable bag, which we don't have, so don't know about that. Do you hit your head on the washing machine?
I remember that because it looked like... Yeah, okay, so do yourself a favour. I want you to do this exercise. So sit like this.
Play along at home.
Yeah, play along at home. So sit like this and then try standing up with your head in the exact same position here.
Go on, my hand's above your head. Stand up.
I'm going to try. Yeah, I could do it like that, but when you go to get up to stand up, so here... Oh, you got your hand there? Okay. Yeah. So you're going to stand like that, aren't you?
Oh, it's like magic, isn't it? So no.
Yeah, no, you're definitely not going to hit your head on the washing machine.
So you can definitely install them underneath the washing machine. Someone 100%. Did say, this is a good question too, how tall are you? I may need a step ladder to get onto the loo as I'm really short and my loo is going on a platform. So I'm telling you, if your loo is going on a platform, you're probably going to need to put a little step stool down the bottom to put your feet on. Yep. I put a step stool down the bottom to put my feet on.
I think the body is designed to poo actually up like that anyway. Yep. So it opens up your bowel more, so you have the better bowel movement, don't you?
If you haven't watched the video,
might as well do some stretches while I'm here.
The squatty potty, have a look at it.
Squatty
it's about
potty.
A unicorn that poops rainbows, and he shows you how it's good to have your feet elevated. So I actually do elevate my feet when I sit on the toilet. But again, that's the Nature's Head. Ogo could be different.
Yep.
Does he always sit down to pee? Funny enough, he does, and not just in our Caravan.
I got a great story. when we're in this van for, 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time, and I go somewhere else like I'm going shortly to a normal house for a few days, yes, I do sit down to pee and I go,
He forgets.
hang on a second, I don't need to sit down to pee anymore, so. But man, not a big deal.
Oh, but that means you don't have to worry about the men putting the seat up and
Yeah,
down.
and when you're drunk, you're not having to go like this and do these ones. So
No.
you just sit down like that and then
that
sort of slump against the wall and then do your pee.
Something that can happen when you've had too much to drink is you can overflow the pee bucket. Oh, I've never done that.
Neither have I.
Okay, what's the next one? How much for the compost? So for the stuff from Bunnings.
Oh, don't quote me. $4, $5, $6, don't know, somewhere in that vicinity. It's cheap as chips.
A woman's perspective on the ease of use will be great to know. Very, very simple, very easy to use. Someone asked about pads and tampons and those sorts of things. Again, guys, don't listen. I don't use any of them anymore because anyway, I don't have that issue. But you don't put pads and tampons into the toilet. You don't put anything into the compost section that's not poop. So you dispose of them as you would normally, and your pee just goes in the pee normally. So they're easy to use for a woman. The only thing, as I mentioned before, was the sliding backwards and forwards because we are different to men and we don't have something to push down the hole to pee out, or not push, to aim at the hole. Sorry.
Yep.
And then the next question is also about what women do at that time of the month. Again, I don't have that issue. I am not a heavy bleeder. I hardly bleed at all anymore these days, but I do have a good friend, Donna Hollier, who has 2 teenage girls and herself, and she's block your ears. She's a very heavy bleeder, and there has been don't do that. There has been a little bit of staining in their canister and around the top bit, around the holes, but you can scrub to remove that. And yes, you can see the discoloration in the urine bucket because it's kind of a bit see-through. But there's no issue with that, with the blood going into the pee bucket. And someone actually asked what happens if you get blood into the compost section. I don't know if you've ever used blood and bone in your garden, but
would that be good?
Yeah, blood is fine. Blood is perfectly natural and it's an organic substance. And if you're worried about blood and poo and all those sorts of things going into nature, have a think about what the animals and everything else does out there. So nature, they go around and kill something, everything's fine. So blood, poo, all the natural, what do you call them? Bodily function stuff is completely fine to go in the toilet. So ease of use for a woman, you do have to get used to it. It's the same for a man.
Just get used to it. You just get used to it. Like, it's simple.
Yeah, and once you try it and get it right, you will never ever go back to the old cassette toilet.
100%. Well, you could do.
Yeah, actually, you know what you could do, and I am going to say that it is personal preference, and if you're happy with cassette toilets, good on you, that's fine.
Absolutely.
We're not trying to convert anyone, but we are trying to convert everyone.
I don't think we're trying to convert people at all. I think it's whatever you guys choose. We're out here to give you our advice and information on how we use it and how good we think they are. Now it's up to you guys, I guess.
So we have been in this location now for 5 days. We haven't had to empty the toilet. We've just done it, obviously, to show you guys. But if we did have a cassette, there's no dump points anywhere around here, and you cannot dump it here.
And don't go digging holes and putting it in because there's chemicals in it.
You cannot dispose of it. So you would need 3, maybe 4 cassettes.
Or go for a long drive, 150 odd k's to get to the closest dump point.
If you have a cassette toilet, you can't stay here for more than, how much cassette
so,
you've got?
On a scale to 1 to 10 for us, there are 15. We absolutely love them. Composting toilet all the way for us.
And if we haven't answered your question in this video, please ask us in the comments below. And if someone's asked a question, you know the answer to it, go ahead and
we want to hear your comments. You like them, you dislike them. Would you have one? Will you get one? Do you have one?
What kind have you got? Do you have an Ogo? Exactly. If you've got an Ogo, let us know what you think of the Ogo.
Well, we don't have a choice now because it's going in. So
I'm
too
late
now.
Too late.
Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Like the video, please. Usual.
Subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment. Give us a
thumbs up. We would love that. Goes a long way.
Yeah, and make sure you click the notification bell as well, because then you get notified when our videos go live.
Yep. Adios, guys.
See you next time.